What's up, guys, and welcome back to Daisha's Digest. I'm in a little bit of a different environment today because I am traveling, but I brought all of my equipment with me so I can make sure that I keep up with the videos. So the topic of today's video is going to be all about affair children. Most of these stories have updates. I'm just anticipating a bunch of craziness today. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And also, if you want to support this channel, you can consider buying me a coffee. I will put all of the relevant links and information in the description, and let's get into it. So this first story is my boyfriend asks me a hypothetical question about raising an affair child. I'm breaking up with my boyfriend of 7 years. I, 25 female, have been dating my boyfriend, 27 male, for 7 years, and I'm about to end it because of a stupid question he asked me. Like 2 days ago, we were chilling at his place, and out of nowhere, he asked if I could ever raise someone else's child. I was confused since I'm child-free, and so is he, so I said that he knows I don't even want kids of my own. He clarified that he means if I'd ever raise and accept a kid that my partner would have in an affair. Honestly, I was speechless. I don't even know what I was feeling in that moment. Anger? Confusion? Oh, this is not starting off good at all. I think I stayed there in silence for a few minutes before he tried to justify and say that the hypothetical child is not at fault in this situation. That's not the point here, bruh. At that point, I was starting to get angry and asked him if he's trying to tell me something. He got mad at me and asked me how I could even assume he'd do something like this and that it was just an innocent question. That's not an innocent question. That's not a question that anyone would ever have to ask unless they were in that position. Like, why would you just randomly ask that? That doesn't even make any sense. This has guilt written all over it. I started to feel like throwing up, so I just left his place. I haven't left my place since then. He has tried to reach out and, I assume, told our mutual friends about what happened because some of them, too, have been reaching out and telling me to hear him out. Hear him out about what? I haven't replied to anyone. I just feel so drained and mad. He went from, again, trying to say that the child is innocent to saying he's sorry to telling me I'm overreacting and so on. So is there a child or not? Because you're beating around the bush. Like, I don't think I've calmed yet entirely, and maybe I will regret this when I will get back to my senses, but I decided to break up with him. I don't think I can ever fully trust him after this, even if this question was indeed innocent. He knows my family's history with cheating. He knows I lost my grandpa because he made some bad decisions after his wife cheated on him. He knows my grandma has been harmed her entire life by a cheating man. He knows all of this, so I don't understand why he'd think it was okay to ask me this. Even if I am in fact overreacting, this question planted some ugly thoughts in my mind that I don't think I can get rid of. I'm gonna throw down the drain a 7-year-old, pretty much perfect relationship because of a stupid question. Before I read the edit, let me read some of the comments. First of all, you're not throwing a relationship down the drain because of the question in and of itself. You're throwing it down the drain because either he cheated and has an affair child, or he plans to cheat and have a child, on top of the fact that he knows that you're child free. So he's either had a child or plans to have a child that he wants you to take care of, even though he knows 100% that you're child free. So he's wrong on multiple levels. It was Dewey said, wait, did he confirm that he did cheat? Edit, OP, I'm sorry, but you are doing the right thing by leaving. The mental gymnastics he is doing, ooh boy, it almost takes talent. Pure manipulation. He cheated, but don't worry, honey. Now we can have kids? You are not overreacting, nor would you have been if you did lose it and scream at him. You would not be a terrible stepmother. Just because the child is innocent does not mean they wouldn't be a terrible reminder of the deepest betrayal. Most people couldn't face that every day. Your mutual friends can help him raise his child. And Deleted said, yes, this was my thing. I totally understand OP's stance on cheating, of course. I ask my boyfriend hypotheticals all the time that I see on Reddit, and we talk about them and laugh. The post is a bit confusing, so I can't tell if he confirmed it or what's going on. Edit, leave. Okay, it sounds like it got confirmed that he actually did cheat. Let me read her edit to the post then. So, edit, I replied the update in a comment, but it's not showing and people keep asking, so I guess I'll put it here too. And yes, I get it. I definitely need to work on my issues and on my temperament, but cheating is and will always be a touchy subject for me, and he knew how it triggered me, which is why I had that reaction. I'm not trying to excuse it, but I'm just explaining why. The update, I'm not sure how I'm supposed to do this, so I'll leave the update here, I guess. Some of you said my reaction was over the top and I should listen to him first, and you were right. I admit I might have jumped too fast to that conclusion, and I should probably work on that. I decided to meet him and talk. We did, and at first he denied that he ever did anything and said he just randomly thought of that question, but in the end, he admitted that he did cheat on me. Right, because I get asking your partner hypothetical questions, but this hypothetical question was a little too specific, a little too real. And then the way that he reacted to her reaction, it just didn't make sense. He swore that it was just a mistake and it only happened once, but the woman he cheated on me with got pregnant and didn't want to get rid of the child. He said that he didn't want to lose me because of a mistake and that he loves me more than anything, but confessed that he too wishes to raise that kid and was hoping he could do it with me because being in a relationship with me feels so natural and comfortable to him, and he can't imagine raising a child with someone else. He confessed to his friends and they told him he should try to warm me up to the idea. And since he knew that the biggest reason why I'm child-free is my fear of being pregnant, he figured that I might agree to it because someone else was delivering the baby. What? Okay, I get that logic, but that only applies if you both agree. Like if it was a surrogacy situation, an adoption situation, but you can't just make that decision for her. What? He told me that he always was hoping I'd change my mind and that while he still regrets what he did, we should view it as an opportunity. At that point, I was close to losing it and I almost started screaming at him. I know I should probably work on that too, and I asked him why he thought I'd agree with this when he knows about what happened to my grandpa and grandma because of their cheating spouses, and he said that this is completely different. How is it different? After that, I honestly couldn't listen to him anymore, so once again, I just left. I blocked all of our supposedly mutual friends who kept defending him, and I also blocked him. I'm devastated that our relationship is ending like this, but he did the one thing that he knew would hurt me the most, and I can't see myself ever forgiving him or accepting his child, even though he is right that the child is innocent. Maybe some of you were right when you said that he dodged a bullet because I would have been a terrible stepmom, probably. How are people saying he dodged a bullet? I guess maybe they said that before it was actually confirmed that he actually cheated when she just was speaking about her reaction. But honestly, I think her reaction was warranted because who says it? Would you be okay? Like hypothetically, if I had an affair child, would you raise it? That's not what. Okay, so this poster actually does have an update. So I'm breaking up with my boyfriend of 7 years, update. Some people asked for an update, so I guess here it is. First of all, thank you to everyone who sent me their supportive words. It really meant a lot and helped me as well. Like I said in my original post, I broke up with him. After that, I blocked him and his friends, so he tried reaching out to my friends, and he also came by my place 3 times and tried to get me to listen to him. I didn't open the door and just ignored him. After the 3rd time, my best friend and her boyfriend asked me if I'd like to live with them for a while, so maybe he'll stop bothering me. It worked. I told my parents what happened and they were heartbroken since our families have been friends since before both of us were born, and they considered him part of our family, but they support and understand my decision 100%. They also talked to his parents and found out that he lied to them and told them that I wanted to take a break from our relationship because I'm losing feelings for him and I want to explore my sexuality. I'm openly bisexual, but that is not true, and I've never even once told him something like this. So he's just a liar all around. My parents told him the truth, and they reached out and apologized for what he did and told me that they support me as well. Also, one of the friends that suggested he tries to warm me up to the idea messaged a friend of mine, and he basically said that he knows he messed up and that he's terribly sorry for suggesting that in the first place and for being a bad friend to me. I told my friend to just ignore him. I guess it's nice that he acknowledged his mistake, but I just don't feel like dealing with any of them anytime soon. Honestly, I'm trying to tell myself that he's not worth it, but it still hurts and it feels awful. I thought we were both happy together and that I was enough for him, but I guess not. So yeah, that's about it. I'm slowly getting better and I have a lot of wonderful and supportive people around me, which helps a lot. I'll stay away from relationships for a while and just focus on myself. I will also try therapy like some of you kindly or not so kindly suggested. Thank you again to the kind strangers who were being supportive. I haven't replied to anyone, but I've read them. Thank you for listening to me, and apologies if there were any mistakes as English is not my first language. Wow, another case of you dodged a bullet. That's crazy. Just the audacity from him in all aspects. Not only did you cheat, so you weren't even gonna confess to cheating, but then the girl got pregnant, so you essentially had to, but then you wanted your current partner to basically accept the situation and see it as an opportunity because you knew that she was scared to get pregnant. So then you're like, oh, well, I have this affair, baby. Like, why don't we just raise... Completely ridiculous. All right, we're going to the next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband that his affair child is not welcome in our home, and if he wants custody, he will have to move out? My husband and I have been married for 9 years. In 2021, we found out my husband was being sued for child support. Turns out my husband had an affair shortly after we were married. It nearly ended our marriage, but we went to counseling together and I agreed to stay in the marriage with the following provisions. My husband was to get a second job so that his child support payments did not affect our household budget, and that at no point in time would I ever consider having a relationship with this child. If he wanted to pursue one with them, fine, but I have absolutely zero interest in this kid. So my husband has been getting to know this kid over the past couple years, and recently my husband came to me and informed me that there was some sort of baby mama drama. Apparently, she has to self-surrender in May and is going to be incarcerated for 8 months. My husband told me that he needed to take custody while his affair partner is locked up. Otherwise, the kid would have to go to their grandparents, who basically live on the opposite coast from us. Their kid doesn't want to have to change schools or be so far away from their friends, dad, and mom. She will be doing her time fairly local to us. So after my husband told me that, I got up and left the house. I went to the grocery store on the corner and grabbed a copy of our area's apartment guide, went back home and handed it to him. He asked if I was serious. I told him I still felt the same way as I did 3 years ago. He said he didn't think that was fair considering the extenuating circumstances. I told him I don't care about the circumstances. His kid is not welcome in my home. If he wanted to take custody, I will grant him an amicable divorce, but I am not changing my mind. I am not taking care of some other chick's kid. I mean, before I read the comments in her edit, I know it might seem a little bit callous, but this is like it would be different if she already knew he had kids prior to them getting married. So there's an expectation there that at some point you probably will have contact with the kid or have to take care of the kid in some way, help out with the parenting, etc. This is different because y'all got married not having children. And then after you got married, this child comes. I feel like she has every right not to want to mother an affair child. And she's been very clear about what she wants, very clear about what she's going to accept. And at that point, he just has to agree. He's the one that cheated. So she's not going to make accommodations for someone who made a mistake. You're gonna have to figure it out, buddy. So just some comments before I read her update. Major Distance 4270. This marriage should have ended years ago. Verbal Guinea, the counselor is too good at his job. Donald 123. You ever get in a cab and they take you the longest way because they get paid more the farther they go? So I guess these people are saying they should have gotten a divorce after the cheating. I mean, it was her choice to stay, and if they had like an agreement and they had terms and agreements or whatever, then I don't see the problem. Miss Elevanti says the child will always be there. Seems like you should cut your losses and move on from this relationship. Sad, but you will probably be happier in the long run. New day today, 12:15. No judgment, but this is the result of you staying with him after the affair. There's no way a child existing can't complicate your life. Kids aren't a side hobby, period. The fact that the therapist allowed the fairy tale notion to exist is wild. Divorce is the best option for everyone, including your husband, but especially you. But the child's best interests need to be prioritized also. People complain that people say break up to everything, but they fail to realize that this kind of stuff is toxic. They kind of have a point, but I don't know. Let me read her update, or her edit. So edit, for all the people concerned about what a whip cracker I am. Whip cracker. Oh, that is a term, isn't it? I am in making my poor husband work 2 jobs. He has never had a full-time job since we've been together. He works 2 part-time retail jobs now that add up to 40 to 50 hours a week. He currently only has supervised visitation with his kid. They see each other once or twice a month for a couple hours with a social worker present. Not gonna lie, the husband sounds like a bum in multiple aspects. And for those who seem to think that I need to be the one to file for divorce, no, I will not. I'm not the one who created this situation. If my husband wants to pursue custody, I have told him I will not fight it. I will grant him an amicable divorce and let him be on his way. However, I'm not going to waste my own time, energy, and money to do so. He is responsible for getting his own ducks in a row for the situation he created. That includes being the one to go through the headache of filing. I don't know, man. She seems a little cutthroat, but I am like 100% on board with everything she's saying. I completely agree. There is an update, so let's see what happens. Update, am I the a-hole for telling my husband that his affair child is not welcomed in our home, and if he wants custody, he will have to move out. After posting, my husband and I continued to discuss the situation. I held firm and iterated again. I will not live with a child, and if my husband wants to pursue this, he will have to find other housing. We discussed divorce, we discussed temporarily separating, we discussed a lot. We sat down and had a pretty big financial talk. He is not involved in our financial planning. I showed him the numbers he realistically had to work with. I told my husband the truth, that while I love him, I won't lose sleep if we divorce. He has to do what's right for his own happiness and his kid. My husband had a bit of a breakdown over that. There was a lot of crying and him telling me that he loved me and didn't want to lose me. I broke down myself. We had a really good cry together. He asked if we could go back to our marriage counselor. So I made an appointment. We went. We discussed the same things above, but with a counselor present. It basically boils down to my husband being very overwhelmed and conflicted about everything. He confessed he didn't really want to be an active parent, but feels like he is supposed to. There's some deep stuff in there about his own family and race tied into that, so complicated emotions. He is terrified of losing me. He wants to prioritize our marriage. Hearing me say that I wouldn't lose sleep over divorcing him left him shook. Our counselor strongly suggested that my husband get into individual therapy and gave some referrals. My husband has not pursued that. It did become pretty obvious to my husband that he was not in a place mentally or financially where he could take full custody though. So the kid is now in Virginia with maternal grandparents. My husband was actually going to go and visit the kid for their birthday this weekend. I gifted my husband some of my airline miles to buy his plane ticket. I did his laundry last night while he was at work so he'd have clean stuff to pack. However, my husband dropped the ball on his trip. I had plans for this afternoon that I left early for, so I wasn't home when he was supposed to get up and leave. He stayed up late playing video games last night and overslept. Ended up missing his flight and couldn't afford last-minute tickets on another. I swear, this man is a bum. Why are you still with him? He keeps proving over and over again that he's a bum. He cheated on you. He had unprotected sex with somebody. Ended up having an affair child. Barely is taking care of his child. Hasn't ever worked a full-time job. Doesn't know anything about finance. Like, I don't understand why you're still here. And then he can't even, you gifted him airline miles because he couldn't even afford a flight. And he can't even be responsible enough to wake up on time for the flight to see his kid. It baffles me. I don't understand this situation. He's in a pissy mood and is playing Elder Scrolls now, trying to get his mind off of it. He needs to get his mind on it. He needs to be figuring out how he's going to get another ticket to go see his kid. How is that not the priority, right? You go back to playing video games, which was the reason why you didn't make it. I've got my sister and some friends coming over in a few for a salsa canning party in a bit, so I'm hoping he gets in a good groove with his game because I am going to have so much margarita. Somebody said, OP, wisdom is chasing after you, but you're clearly way too fast. I am going to be using that. That is hilarious. Somebody said I'm going to save this saying in my memory for later use. Same. Somebody said African as hell, a Nigerian mother's favorite saying. I was going to say that too. It does sound like an African saying that I've heard before. Season Flower 15, seriously, at this point, she is just doing this to herself. My sympathy is at -100 now. Raymond Beaumont, he cheated on you. He has never had a full-time job. He can't adult. Why are you married to him again? Yeah, please, OP, we are all waiting for the answer. Monty Burns, her reasoning in the original post is so pathetic. And Common Vagrant said, wait, what was her reasoning? She said she loved him, but is that her reason? Sunset Poppy said she wouldn't file because she wasn't the one who created the mess. Wow, the whole situation is a mess. The whole situation is a mess. I don't understand why she's still there. They really just need to call it. I do agree to him getting some individual therapy because I'm assuming something must be going on because dude is a bum, like definition of a bum. Hopefully the therapy will help him out. We have a few more stories, so I'm not sure if this one has an update. Let me see. This one doesn't have an update yet. It was posted 10 days ago, but let's read it. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband's affair baby's family to either come get the kid or I'm calling CPS? Ooh. My female 53 soon-to-be ex-husband Roger, 47, whom I forgave for his affair, came home with a baby 4 months ago. His girlfriend, 22, so y'all have a 25-year age gap? I'm not, that seems excessive. That you are old enough to be her father. I'm not judging. Okay, I'm trying not to judge, but that seems excessive. Like, what can a 22-year-old do for you at your big age of 47? Anyway, his girlfriend, 22, could not handle it anymore and brought the baby to him at work and left. To the best of his knowledge, she is in Spain. I allowed him to stay so long as I didn't have to do anything. Well, about a month ago, Roger had a heart attack. Oh man, probably the stress from this baby. It didn't kill him, but he is very weak and incapable of doing anything for himself. Since he isn't up and about, he cannot care for his child. He also cannot drop off and pick up his son at daycare. I have been helping, but I'm done. My kids are full grown. I shouldn't be having grandkids anytime soon. I do not have any desire to care for a baby. I told Roger that I want a divorce, and I contacted the mother's parents. I know the father through friends. I said they had until Friday to come get their grandchild, or I was calling Child Protective Services. They just left with the baby, but but they scolded me for being so cold towards a baby that had done me no harm. I view that child differently. Roger is recovering and I will be moving out. The house is in his name, but I have never contributed to it. I have the equivalent of 22 years of rent and interest put away. Oh, wow. She's in a great spot. As per our prenup, my savings are my own. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. Side note, I was reading some stories previously where the women were like, oh, my husband says our house will never be mine, or, the house that we're about to buy, my husband said I'll never have ownership of, etc., etc. Like, they should have did what this lady did. If you're going to say the house is not going to be mine, or I will have no claim to it, I'm not putting any money towards this house. I'm not helping you renovate it. I'm not helping you pay no rent if I'm not going to have any claim whatsoever. So I like how she did it, because now she's in a good place where, since she's not going to be able to get the house, at least she has all these savings that she was able to build up so she can either go get her own house or her own place. I think that was a great plan. I work and I don't need anything out of this marriage except myself. My kids tried telling me to stay and help their father. I said that they are welcome to come over and help him with cleaning himself and the baby. Both declined what I felt was a fair offer. Right, because why are you offering my services and you're not here to help? If you want him to have help so bad, come on over. I'll leave the light on for you. I do not feel I am acting badly. However, Roger, our children, his child's family, and a few mutual friends think I am. Perhaps writing this out and seeing the responses will give me clarity. Well, I've already pretty much given my thoughts. I'm going to read some of the comments. Global Walrus 1672, not the a-hole. Let me get this straight though. No one is upset at the real mom who took off for Spain, leaving her kid. It seems like all the hostility is being misdirected toward you, who got dumped on more than once. You are doing the right thing. At some point, mom is more than likely going to show back up, want the kid, and money to support it. Get away from that man as fast as you can. As far as your kids go, it sounds like they think you have some responsibility to support the guy who cheated on you for life, so they can enjoy theirs without that added burden. Hopefully they will wake up and realize that is placing you in a harmful situation. Wait until Roger passes and they all want a part of the house, and little Miss Guess Who, if she finds out, wants a piece for her kids too. I bet their opinions change real fast. Decadent life, people don't understand what really goes into taking care of someone who is that sick. Usually not until they have had to do it themselves. Yeah, it is tough. Jquell J36, seriously, I would have called CPS anyway. Biodad/sperm donor can't care for the baby. You're on the way out and have no legal obligations to it. Biomom skipped off to Spain so she can go live her best life or whatever, and the baby's grandparents and half-siblings think you're the bad guy? Nope, mom's a deadbeat, dad's sick, and you aren't anything to this poor child. Jahub062 and CPS could have been the ones to contact them and make arrangements, not OP Circus or monkeys. And Top Ad 7154, not the a-hole, that child was not your responsibility. Yes, it was innocent, but you're literally not responsible for raising it. You should have divorced Roger long ago. That is very true. I don't know why these ladies, I don't know why they are still in these relationships. OP said, and God forbid something happens, I literally cannot make any decisions regarding medical care or anything. So as I said, this one doesn't have an update yet. This was 10 days ago. Let me look at her comments to see if she was able to give any updates there. Oh wow, OP said, I have a little over $1 million in investments. I'll be fine. He paid for everything. I kept all my money. I know that's right. I don't know what the original comment was, but she replied to them, I can forward you their info if you're volunteering to take over. And she also said, I think the baby is almost a year old. The house was a premarital asset on our prenup. So she doesn't really have that many comments, and there's also no update. So OP, I wish you the best. You are completely right for divorcing this guy. it's over. Like there's nothing left there. Let's go to the next story. Apparently there is some trigger warnings for infidelity, spousal harm, death in childbirth, and religious harm, but there is supposedly a happy ending. So just keep that in mind, and I'll go ahead and read these. Shout out to Best of Redditor Updates subreddit, because that's what I'm reading off of, and they've made a very comprehensive post of the original post and also some good comments. So original post: my husband wants me to be a mother to his affair child. I, 29 female, and my husband, 44 male, have been together for 5 years and married for 2. I met him at the church I started going to when I moved cities to start my career. I work for an insurance company and he's a pastor. I know that we have a notable age gap, but he was always kind to me and made me feel special. Yeah, I was taking a little bit of a note of the age gap. I can't really talk because I think my boyfriend would have like 13 year age gap. So they have like a 15. I don't know. I guess it's not terrible, but there's a bit of a disparity. Anyhow, a week ago, he came home and told me we needed to talk. He told me through tears that he had been having an affair with one of our community members, 34 female, and that she had been pregnant with twins. She had gone into labor. She and one of the twins passed, and the other is in the NICU. He said we need to step up and that he wants me to turn my office into a nursery and set up a cot in the room so we can take turns. Wow. Affair aside, that is incredibly sad and tragic. At the same time, that doesn't just automatically mean that I'm gonna take care of this newborn baby that another woman. And I also not only do I have to process that information, but now I have to process the fact that you cheated, and you probably you cheated to the point where she got all the way up into having the baby. So when were you gonna tell me this? Because now the only reason you're bringing it up is because very, very unfortunately, tragically, the lady passed away. Wow. And then he says we need to step up and that he wants me to turn my office into a nursery and set up a cot in the room so we can take turns. There are no taking turns. You're on your own. I'm sorry. You made this decision on your own. You laid down in the bed with her on your own. You're going to have to take care of this newborn. You guessed it, on your own. What? I became distressed and told him I wanted some time to think, that I was not sure I wanted to do this. He told me I had made a vow to him in marriage and that God had blessed us with a child, that this is our cross to bear, and that God will never give me something we cannot handle. Listen, I am a Christian, but he's obviously twisting the Christianity for his own personal gain, because that is not her quote unquote cross to bear because you cheated and had a baby outside of marriage. That ain't got nothing to do with God. I told him that it seemed God had given her more than she could handle because she had passed. I know I should not have said it, but I was not thinking correctly. He slapped me. Where is this story going? This is a lot. I'm glad they put trigger warnings. He struck me and told me that I needed to serve my husband, that God had chosen me as this child's mother and I needed to be his humble servant. Hell nah. I just feel so strange. Yesterday I cried so hard I threw up. This woman passed, yet I feel bad for myself. I feel so ugly. I want children and was saving for IVF because I'm infertile, but now that I have a chance to have a child, I do not want it. You don't have a chance to have this is not your chance to have a child. This is a mistake your husband made, and now he's trying to manipulate you into accepting it because he needs help. That's really what it is. This man needs help. He can't do it himself, so he's manipulated the situation into, oh, this is our cross to bear. God won't give us more than we can handle. You have a chance. Boy, I feel like I'd be robbing its mother's grave. I pray to God, but if I'm being honest, it's never felt like anyone was ever listening. I feel like I have truly seen my husband, and he no longer looks kind. He looks his age and very tired. I want to abandon him and the child. I'm only 29. I can start over. I have a remote job. I can take a day off when he goes to the NICU, pack my essentials, and leave. Neither him nor the child deserve this, and although this is my circus, that is not my monkey. Okay, well, at least it sounded like she had some sense toward the end. Some of the relevant comments that were pulled: love yourself and leave. And she said, that's the hard part. I always have felt like I was never on anyone's radar and just their back burner. He made me feel special and loved, but this last week I feel like I've seen past that. Although I was old enough to decide to be in an age gap relationship, I feel like he had no business being with someone my age. I'm 29 now, and I would feel wrong being with someone 24. I spent my whole life accepting second best, and now that the one person who put me first has now put me last, I feel like I just see it all now. I feel used. Someone else said, I'm a Christian and preacher's kid. He's full of crap. He made vows too. This is not your cross to bear. OP said, I've been kind of thinking about that recently. I still love him because that doesn't leave overnight as much as I want it to. This last week, I've just been thinking about what it would look like when the baby comes home. The arguments we'd inevitably have in front of the child, the way he'll use the fear of God to make them behave, and I cannot accept that. I was willing to accept that when it was just me, and I'm not sure why, but I just can no longer accept this behavior. And then she gave more info on the affair. He said that she had come to his office several times to seek spiritual counseling, and the affair just happened after many emotional sessions. The assistant pastor is aware of things according to my husband's version of events and has called me twice this week to offer help converting my office into a nursery. He said that forgiveness is a virtue and that this is a part of God's plan. Oh. So the whole church is just full of manipulators. This is crazy. Someone else said, don't let him use God to manipulate you. He doesn't care about you. And she said, that's just it though. Looking past the situation itself, he doesn't care about me and only pretended to. I finally found someone who put me first and it was a lie. I feel like such a gullible idiot. A 39-year-old man was interested in a 24-year-old woman because they had the same interests? Really? I feel so stupid for not seeing it when I can so clearly see it now. All right, well, there was a small update in her comments that was 2 days after the first post. I just want to say thank y'all for the support. I'm still processing this all and just need a little time. I don't feel unsafe, just unloved, just not enough. My husband did apologize for striking me and continues to express regret, but he can't take it back. Just as he cannot take back impregnating another woman, which ultimately led to her passing away. I just feel so disillusioned with my life right now. I know I should leave. I know that there is a world out there that will not treat me like this, but I am scared of change. I'm working on a plan to leave and get my ducks in a row for when I'm ready to go, but I'm not sure when I would leave if I choose to. Many expressed that I should make a report to the police about him striking me, and you're probably right, but that would likely cause me more problems than it would be worth. If I leave, it might make him want to contest the divorce more, and if I stay, it would cause more tension. I've been working on my left hook though, because I won't let him get away with that again. I'm not violent myself, but I'm down for a tussle because although I'm hurt, I'm angry. I'm not sure if there will be an update because I'm still unsure. I can make all the plans in the world, but the change scares me almost as much as bending to his will. I've been praying about it, but I see no clear answers or guidance. I don't know. Funny thing, I'm jealous of the people saying that this is fake. It's like I want my life to be like it was 2 weeks ago. I could read a crazy story on the internet and think, wow, that's crazy, seems kind of fake, and keep scrolling and go about my life. Only I can't scroll away in real life because that's just not how life works. I don't owe anyone proof of my life tragedies, least of all strangers on the internet whom I will never meet. I do thank all who have given support. I wish I could tell you I packed my bags and left his sorry butt, but I'm not strong enough to yet. It's not that easy to do in real life as it turns out. I understand what she's saying. I mean, it is easy for people to read a story and objectively be like, girl, you need to leave. But when you're actually in it and you actually have the emotions and you actually have been manipulated like this girl has been for all this time, it's hard to just make that decision so quickly. But she did have an update 8 months later. So let's see what happened here. I left. Thank God Almighty. If that's all you wanted to know, there it is. For those of you who were asking how the other woman passed, I get it. I invited you into my business. It was an amniotic fluid embolism. I don't know much about those, but I guess when they happen, things go wrong really, really fast. We live in a more rural area, so they just weren't ready for something like that to happen. I didn't leave right away, as I know now that I should have. It just wasn't that easy. I stayed for 2 months. I knew if I did not at least try to make it work, I would not be able to live with it. Not because I wanted to save my marriage, but because what ifs keep me up at night enough as it is. I went to marriage counseling with my husband, but it was ultimately fruitless. Of course, it was Christian counseling. I felt like their goal was for me to forgive him rather than actually trying to help me. I was so utterly alone during that time. My parents and brother are also very religious, so even though they weren't happy with my husband, they kept urging me to do what a good Christian wife does. That's the only thing. Like, people who are like uber religious like that, it's almost as if they care more about the perception of righteousness and holiness than like reality. The reality is this man cheated. And just because I believe in God doesn't mean I have to stay with somebody who cheated, got this woman pregnant, wants me to take care of the babies, and also struck me on the face, is manipulative, a liar. I don't have to stay in that. That doesn't even make no sense. I spent so much time suffering in my own head that I began to realize that I was just going through the motions, doing what I thought people expected of me. I entered a state of derealization for a time, and that was an absolute mind freak. The feeling of nothing being real, not even myself, was horrible. During this period, my husband brought his baby home, and while he tried to split the care 50-50 at first, he ultimately didn't trust me to look after the baby because I was lost in space, so he ended up being the primary provider. When I was with the baby, all I could think about was how its existence ruined my life. It would look at me with big blue eyes, and I would just wish it to disappear. The fact that she's referring to the baby as it, I don't know if that's a choice because she wants to keep anonymity in this story, but that is just crazy to me. I would actively spend time resenting a baby. There was a time when I was thinking to myself, and I wished it would stop breathing. Oh no, she don't need to be around this child. This was when I knew that I needed to leave. I was blaming a baby and wishing ill upon it, and that was not okay to do. Yeah, it's one thing to be in this messed up situation. It's another thing to be wishing harm onto an innocent. Yeah, it was the best option for everyone for her to leave. I don't remember much about this time besides that it's mostly a blur otherwise. I sought services through my work to talk to a therapist, and I eventually came back to Earth. She helped me make a plan. At no point did I fear my husband. I truly believe the strike on my face was a one-off event. However, screw him. He doesn't deserve closure. On a night he had a long Bible study, he always took his baby with him because he didn't trust me. I packed my essentials and dipped. I met him pretty quickly after college, so I did not have much to take as far as furnishings. I fit everything I wanted into 3 suitcases and 4 moving boxes. It all fit into my SUV after some mediocre Tetris skills. I was able to change my phone number online before I left, but I did leave the divorce papers under his pillow with my lawyer's contact info, kind of like the Tooth Fairy, but for adults. I was the breadwinner. Oh wow, on top of everything. In my state, we were not married long enough for me to pay spousal maintenance. At least that is what my lawyer said. I owned my own vehicle outright. We had our own bank accounts and a shared expenses account. We filed taxes separately, and the church owns the house. He's being a butt about it all, but I'm hoping it should be done soon. I got a decent apartment in a city a few hundred miles away. I've never lived in a city this big before. Everything is so expensive, but besides that, I like it. I found a new therapist, met some friends, and found a new church with loving people. I still have my days, but for the most part, I'm content. I think it will always hurt on some level, but I'm working on taking my power back. I turn 30 next month and am hopeful it will be the start of my best decade yet. Great! I love to hear that update because that whole situation was just so problematic, and it started to get a little bit scary from her point of view, the way that she was like feeling about the baby. So I'm glad she was able to get out of there and find a new loving church, because I don't think all churches are bad, but obviously this one, it was not it. So hopefully she continues to build her new community. She's obviously learned a lot of things from being in this relationship, and I wish her the best. All right, so we have one more story. It is going to be our stress reliever for the video. So just a reminder to subscribe if you haven't already. And let's go into this last post. Want me to use old pallets? All right then. So a few years back, I worked for a brick/block making firm. I was using the cuber, a machine that would push the bricks and blocks onto a wooden pallet. I was tasked with stacking newly made bricks on pallets and stacking said pallets in the shed to keep them out of the weather. I was using the new pallets like we normally do for the bricks, as they would be stacked 4 pallets high, about 8 meters tall or about 26 feet. My boss yelled at me saying, "Just use the old pallets." I replied with, "The old pallets are not strong enough for that weight." Well, he was always right and demanded I do as he said. Skip to a few hours later, and I hear my boss yelling and swearing up a storm. One of the old pallets at the bottom collapsed, destroying about $4,000 worth of product. He starts yelling at me, putting the blame on me. Now, this was a long time coming, and I was done being blamed for his screw-ups. I stood over him and started yelling back, "You told me to use the old pallets. I did as you said, so don't you dare blame me for your screw-up." Ooh, that's a bold move. I then turned around and left. Now, he didn't like to admit he was wrong, but when I got to my station the next Monday, there was a new toolkit sitting there for me. Okay, well, that ended up being a good result. I guess that was his way of apologizing. But thank you, OP, for sharing, and thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.